Welcome back to Secret Weapons. My name is Mark Johnston. If this is your first time here, this is a YouTube channel where we do gear demos and reviews, as well as studio tips and tricks for leveling up your writing, your playing, and your production from a guitar player working out of a studio. If that's the kind of thing that would appeal to you, please hit that subscribe button and stick around for future videos. Today, we're taking a look at the entire lineup from the new Klowra pedal line. So today we're taking a look at the entire lineup from this company, Klowra. They are a company that makes a bunch of guitar pedals. There are 7 new models from them. There are also a couple different expression foot switches available, dual foot switch pedals that have either 3 outputs or a single output. There is also a dual switchable expression pedal and a power supply. Just as a quick spoiler, for some of you out there, this power supply is what you have been looking for. It is low format, very pedal board friendly, fits under your board really easily, 500 milliamp draw across the 6 outputs with 2 selectables, 9, 12, and 18 volt. There is still a 24 volt out courtesy port to kind of chain other smaller power supplies with it. Here's the kicker. IEC on the back, no wall wart, no secondary transformer thing that you have to find a different home for. This is the thing that a lot of you complain about when it comes to things like the Strymon and the Walrus power supplies, and this is here on this one, so just be aware of that. And while the company Klowra seems to be brand new, if you have been watching my channel or have been paying attention to kind of the increasing quality of budget pedal lines over the last few years, this might send up some like sparks of recognition. And that's because this is the same team ostensibly that is responsible for the A-Labs pedals from a couple of years ago. I'll link down below if you want a refresher. I covered a chunk of that pedal lineup on here as well. And I remember the A-Labs pedals being very impressive, as they were some of the more ambitious budget pedals to ever come through my studio. And this seems to have taken kind of what they learned and what they did with that company, A-Labs, and really kicked it into high gear with these Klowra releases. There are 7 pedals here. There is an analog distortion, an Octaver, a pitch shifter, 2 different delays, a multi-modulator, and a multi-reverb. Almost everything is stereo, save for kind of the Octaver, there's an asterisk there, and the distortion unit itself. Everything else is either mono in, stereo out, or largely stereo in, stereo out, expression capable, multimodal. There's a lot going on here. But the trip about all this is these all came to me via Amazon, and the lineup is largely between $109 and about $149 for most of these pedals. They are very much budget-friendly offerings that pack a hell of a punch. But what I think is so interesting about these as a budget offering is that not only do these not feel budgety, I mean, you've got decent construction, you've got multi-mode reverb. This one has, the reverb's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 reverb modes in it. There's also this little like LED that lights up and can be press and held for alternate functionality, for ramping, for a variety of different things across the different pedals, because all these are really well built out. But they also don't even show up presenting as budget. I have the Verdict Poly Octaver in the box just to make a point to kind of showcase what's in here. And this is a cardboard box, but like a nice robust one, more built out than some premium brands we know and love in this industry. But you pop it open, and inside you've got your, I'm gonna put this down, you've got your manual. It is a quick start guide with all the information, a QR code to download the full manual that's like 11 to 15 pages long, depending on the pedal, because they do a lot. Let's get this out of here. It comes with a sticker of the art on the pedal, because all the art on these pedals are actually quite good looking. I was a little concerned that the art was AI when I opened these up originally, but the website says they're all done by a real artist. So, I mean, cool sticker. And then one of the weirder choices, I don't know what these are for. These are transparencies of the Klowra logo and the art on each pedal printed on PVC with like a protective film on them. This is either going to be ASMR for somebody or a nightmare. I apologize for hitting the mic at the end. That probably ruined it. I don't know what this is for. It just makes me feel like, why is this budget pedal company kind of putting so much effort into the presentation. It's kind of nice. And then inside the box, you've got a second double-sided cardboard box that the pedal itself is inside of to keep it safe in transit, which, I mean, you know, it's Amazon. It's probably wise. And then inside the plastic, again, some ASMR. Get out of here. You have the pedal itself. This is the Octaver. You have a bunch of controls on it. We'll get into the settings, but I just wanted to kind of take a minute and do a little bit of an unboxing business because, again, these are all within like the $109 to $149 price range. Because again, these are all like in the $109 to $179 price range. And it feels like they're making a lot of effort on these. So having said all that, we are going to endeavor to not make this video entirely too long. I'm going to get into sound samples pretty quick, and we'll just circle back to me here talking to you to kind of set up each pedal as we go. As always, timestamps down below if you want to just get directly into the sound samples for a specific pedal. But let's go ahead and start getting into it. First up, we have the Gnash Distortion. This is an analog distortion that has distortion, treble, which is going to be basically your high frequency response, and a master output. Underneath it, you have gain and tone for a weirder, angrier second gain stage that can be activated by pressing this little light up LED right here. You've got 3 additional switches, a switch that switches between hard clipping and wave folding, a switch that goes between a flat frequency response and a mid scoop for a slightly more kind of new metally modern circa 2003 sound, a switch that goes between parallel distortion circuits when that secondary drive is on, or series, allowing this to be a parallel distortion or a 2-in-1. And on top of all that, you've got mono in, mono out, and an expression control on the bottom where if you take one of their Animus dual foot switches, you can set it up basically so that A on here toggles a preset you've made on the pedal for recall, and B turns on that second distortion circuit, basically giving you bypass, a preset, and a second gain stage with no MIDI and no second power supply because these are all passive. Let's give it a listen. So for all these sound samples, we're going to be running my Fender Telecaster into whatever of the Klowra pedals we are currently using. Starting off with the Gnash Distortion, we're going to run into my Quad Cortex Mini here in the back, running into a set of Warm Audio WA-273s into Burl converters and recording into Pro Tools. Here's what our dry tone sounds like. Let's set knobs to noon. Let's put all of our switches in the bottom positions here, which is going to be, in my opinion, the more conventional sound. And let's turn on the Gnash. So as you can hear, there's a lot of distortion on hand here. Let's go ahead and take that drive back and push both our master and our treble a little bit farther forward to create something with a little bit more angle and clarity. the side here, you have the ability to customize the sound a little bit further. You have hard clipping versus wave folding. You have a kind of flatter EQ curve versus a mid scoop. Then you have the ability to take this secondary distortion circuit or overdrive circuit and run it either in parallel with the existing distortion circuit up top, or have them run in parallel or in series with one another. Let's start by giving a listen to the difference between hard clipping, a more conventional overdrive distortion sound, and the wave folding, which is going to be more of a synthy fuzz sort of affair. Obviously, one of the most evident areas of that is going to be in the decay. Next up, we can go ahead and add a mid scoop for a slightly more modern sound. I guess that's not really modern anymore, but that was considered modern when I was learning how to play guitar and nu metal ruled the earth. So that lexicon is going to stay static. And then you have the ability to press this lighting, this LED right here, and activate the second clipping circuit that can be in parallel or series. It's a weird sounding circuit, benefits from blending in with your existing distortion. Or you can run them into each other. Okay, here's the thing. The sound we have dialed up right now is kind of cool, but insanely weird. So let's go ahead and take a look at how you can actually unlock some additional control in the Gnash, even with such a simple pedal. We have here the dual expression pedal from Klowra as well, and you can use the two different foot switches on here, A and B, to activate that secondary circuit and to pull up a saved preset on the pedal. So let's take a look at how to do that. What we're going to do here is we have all of our settings where we want them to be. Let's turn that on. Let's press and hold. And when that flashes, it means that it's saved the kind of current state of the pedal. Now, what I'm going to do here is, if I can reach around here, I'm going to take that AB, plug it into here, and then kind of mash the buttons while that runs. I know it's a weird setup process, but it is what it is. And now we have the ability to basically, let's get back to a sound we more conventionally like. We're moving that to this side so that we can see all of our light changes as it happens. If I hit A, it toggles that saved mode on and off. And if I toggle B, it toggles the secondary drive. Next up, we're going to take a look at the Verdict Poly Octaver. And this is very much like Pog-esque, but shrunken down into a kind of standard enclosure format. You have mono in, and then you have two outputs. You have effect out and analog dry out. This is analog dry through, allowing you to run in and out and run the octaves somewhere else if you want to, or you can run the mix of wet and dry out of that affected output. You have a direct volume on here, allowing you to take your dry signal completely out or nice and full volume in the pedal, and then instead of like a conventional mix control. And then you've got 4 octaves. You have an octave up, a second octave up on its own knob, and then octaves down and 2 octaves down on a single shared knob with a secondary kind of control parameter for blending those 2 lower octaves. You have a swell control that will allow the octaves to either play with very minimal latency behind your playing, and I will say that the engine in this thing is something real. The tracking feels great, both on big chords and fast playing, fast relative to me, you know what I mean? And the ability to also take that swell and create this as a kind of big, blooming, multi-octave chorus that follows your playing in a much slower way. It triggers really consistently, it tracks really consistently, and it's a very fun octaver. Secondarily, on that swell control, you have a low cut available to you for tightening up those octaves down. And then you also have a frequency control, which rolls off the high information in the octaves with an adjustable Q for resonance, giving you also access to funkier, more synthy octaves in this pedal. And fun fact, this can also be set up so that that frequency follows the swell control, making this also really effective as something of an auto wah with octaves. Okay, next up, we're going to take a look at the Poly Octaver from the Klowra line. This is going to have a analog dry through with an option for an analog dry out on the side for either true bypass or buffered bypass operation. You have 4 octaves available to you here, octave up, 2 octaves up, and then a blendable knob for 1 and 2 octaves down. You also have a swell control, a filter with a adjustable Q to create kind of very smooth sounding low pass filtering, as well as more kind of synthy, funkier sounds, and attack and release controls for a swell and freeze function. Let's go ahead and give it a listen with no dry tone. I mean, so as you can hear right off the bat, tracking is very good in this. It's kind of shocking how good the polyphonic tracking is happening here. Let's go ahead and crank up that swell function. Also handy for turning your dry back up and allowing those octaves to kind of fill in the background. And of course, you have a frequency control that will roll off high filter, like filter out high frequencies. And there is a secondary function that allows you to control the Q or the resonance of that filter. Let's go ahead and turn that up. Go ahead and turn that Q a little bit further back, open up our filter a little bit more. And you can use one of the foot switches here to activate the filter. For even slower builds. So you could have kind of like your fastest control. And conversely, you can use the other foot switch for freezing, or you can press and hold the center foot switch to freeze. Third in line, and one of the kind of straight up most impressive things in this lineup, in my opinion, from just a technical level, is the Klowra Vane. And this is their harmonizer pitch shifter pedal. You have rate, you have detune, and you have mix. You have above or below your root note 2 octaves, 1 octave, fifths, fourths, major and minor thirds, major and minor seconds, and unity with glide controls for the kind of ramping stuff in this pedal. The most standout thing, in my opinion, about this particular pedal is that it is a kind of pitch shifter, not just an octaver, that is polyphonic and tracks well. Like, you can give it some pretty kind of like clustery chords and kind of trip it up a little bit, but if you're running, minor seconds, you don't want super tight chord clusters anyways. And it's mono in, it's stereo out, and the ways in which both the mix control and the outputs operate in this are insanely well thought out. You have the mix can be set up as constant power or kind of conventional. And what constant power means is, because you're sending out over a stereo field, the different frequencies and the different kind of high-low moments get spread out, where lower tones are centered to the middle, almost in a mid-side kind of way, and higher tones get spread out into the left and right area. And as you turn that mix up, it will kind of change the volume of different frequencies at different rates to try and convey a sense of similar energy in your signal as you move through that mix control across the different pitch shifts. It's the kind of stuff I would expect in a pitch shifting plugin in my DAW, not necessarily something that I would expect out of a budget-friendly, delivered by Amazon guitar pedal. Especially not something that's also mono in stereo out. Okay, let's take a step away from the Octaver and take a look at the Vane Harmonizer. This is going to be a full-on polyphonic, good tracking harmony pedal, which is a trip. You have a rotary knob on the side here that lets you pick your interval either above or below at 2 octaves, an octave, and then, a fifth, fourth, third, second, unity, kind of all the hallmarks, with controls for a rate control, a detune control, a mix. You have stereo outs, and then you have these ramp parameters for gliding back, in and out. We are not going to use those parameters. We are instead going to use, I will pick it up, the Klowra dual expression pedal, and that is going to be how we make use of the glide controls in this one instead. And let's go ahead and get into it. You again have secondary controls as always. Turn the pedal on. So we are in a fifth below right now. By turning the rotary, you step through the above positions. And to select the below positions, hold the LED and step through as alternate functions. So we're now a fifth below instead of a fifth above. And as you can hear, it actually tracks polyphonic pretty well. This one is easier to get wonky with than the Octaver, obviously. A big factor there is just the fact that a lot of these kind of weirder chords don't respond well to things like fourths or thirds or seconds. But a thing you're going to notice as we kind of step through some of these controls and everything, let's turn our detune and our rate down. A thing you're going to notice is that in stereo mode, you actually have it kind of stereoizing your effects in a really cool way. does it pretty intelligently. It almost does kind of like mid-side processing, where if you listen, low notes are kind of weighted to the center, and high notes are weighted to the outside. Let's go full wet. Octave down. And you can, of course, go unity with the detune and the rate to stereo-wise without any pitch shifting. Next up, we step into our first stereo in, stereo out pedal, and one of three really proper multimodal pedals. This is the Sprout Modulator. Stereo in, stereo out, expression capable, of course, with 9 different modulation effects in here: vibe, chorus, a multi-channel modulator, flanger, filter, phaser, rotary, a tremolo, and a ring modulator. And some of these get pretty chaotic pretty quickly. The ring modulator is hectic in some really cool ways. Tremolo, I wish that the texture control on here controlled the width of the tremolo versus it being a really ping-pongy trem. It's a bit extreme in stereo for my taste, but a lot of the modulation in here sounds great, and you've got a very kind of straightforward control scheme here. You have rate and depth, you have texture and tone. Texture is going to modulate the kind of feel of each effect as you go through. There'll be lag control sometimes, duty sometimes, all sorts of stuff. There's a mix control, which you need for some, don't need for others when it comes to modulation. And there is a secondary control for controlling rhythm underneath rate. And what that is tap tempo input, what you want your subdivision to be. Let's give the Sprout a listen. Okay, let's take a look at Sprout, the multi-modulation pedal. This is going to be a nice change of pace in terms of it being a pretty straightforward pedal, broadly speaking. You have a rotary knob, once again, this time kind of marqueing through a variety of different modulation engines. You have stereo in on this one, which is new. You still, of course, have control in on the bottom for either tap tempo, ramping, or expression controls. You have stereo outs on the other side. And you've got your rate, your depth, a mix control, which is handy for some engines and not others. Cough, cough, tremolo. And then you have a tone control, which rolls off high frequencies. And you have a texture control, which is an interesting way of kind of adjusting and modulating the character of these modulations in ways that will become apparent as we walk through them. We're going to kind of take a fairly brief look at each one. So let's start things off with vibe. In the middle here, let's just take a quick beat and take a look at some of the other stuff available from this lineup. We're going to kind of mostly look more specifically at the pedals, obviously, as we have been, but the Klowra Expression pedal right here is really surprising. It's kind of skateboard grip tape on the top. You have two expression outputs on it with little switches next to them for reversing the kind of polarity of the expression, allowing you to set either heel down and toe down for both outputs or invert one of them so that like as you send to one pedal, heel down, you are sending toe down to the other one or vice versa. And as you push through, you can kind of invert those two pedals, which is pretty great. The build quality feels very robust and very solid. Throw of it is nice and tight. If you can see here, it's not very far. It's a pretty small throw, but it's also a fairly compact expression pedal, bigger than the Dunlop Mini, but smaller than basically everything else I've used. And again, there's a good kind of amount of tension to it where you don't feel like you're wobbly on this, which is quite nice. I'm of the opinion that Rilum is one of the funnest pedals in this lineup. Everything has been pretty compelling so far, but this is a multi-head delay, in air quotes. I would call it way more of like a multi-head tape machine. You have a lag time, feedback, mix, rate, heads volume, and lo-fi. But there's some interesting caveats there. Lag time can be thought of as the delay time for the tape machine for kind of your main repeat. Heads volume is going to be the playback of multiple different delay heads alongside that kind of initial lag time mix combination. Feedback is going to be what you expect it to be. Rate is not going to be delay time, but instead the modulation rate with a secondary control for the depth of the modulation. Heads has got a secondary for groove, which is going to be the placement of the other delay heads rhythmically around the main delay head. And lo-fi is going to be basically tape machine degradation with a really cool secondary parameter for a wet inversion where it takes the kind of like input wet signal that sums to mono to create the stereo spread and inverts the phase on that, giving you access to a much blurrier, murkier, more reverberant version of this skittery multi-tap delay. There's also a really fun secondary in here called Spawn, which randomizes the volume of all the different playback heads in this, giving you a lot more unpredictability in the rhythms as you play. As you can hear, we're kind of in comb filtering. If we turn up this rate control and start introducing some modulation. And from there, you mix in other delay heads. And of course, this is one that has a couple of pretty crucial secondary controls as well. You have this rate control for the speed of that modulation, but you can press and hold and adjust the depth as well. So you can kind of go shallower, but with a fast rate. Or much deeper, but slow. Almost sounds like having like an automatic Bigsby on your playing. You also have a groove control and a spawn control. Spawn is going to randomly adjust the levels between those different delay heads. So let's go back to a longer delay time. Let's go ahead and bring those heads up. And then let's introduce both the spawn parameter, which is a secondary control on lag time up here. So at minimum, we should get pretty consistent delay heads. And as you can hear there, you're getting inconsistent emphasis across those delay heads, which is kind of cool, especially if you're doing some stuff that you don't want to be really predictable across the board. And then you can change the kind of groove of those multi-head repeats. Let's go ahead and create consistency again right there. And let's make an adjustment to our groove, which will allow us to kind of adjust what the feel of those additional delay heads sound like. And additionally, you have a couple of controls for that foot switch or external control, which is things like twisting the tap tempo, having external tap tempo in general, and the ramping parameters. Oh, and finally, one other thing I want to highlight here is the phase inversion on lo-fi right here. And so basically you've got really kind of consistent, easy to identify delay repeats right now. But you can invert the kind of phase on those delay lines. Chews them up, hurts the attack on them, creates more of a cloud, which is kind of cool. Getting back into proper multi-mode effects, we have the Everlast Stereo Delay. This is going to be a lot more straightforward as delays go. Time, repeats, mix, texture, and tone. Texture is going to be largely either age or modulation depending on the engine you are in. But the engines in here are pretty varied in some cool ways. You've got your kind of like necessary standards: tape, digital, analog, reverse, a swell. But then you get into a really great granular delay in here that pitches your delay up and down, plays it backwards in chunks, a crystal mode, which is similar but more shimmer oriented, but for delay in some really cool rhythmic ways. You have a sweeper, which is going to basically be an auto wah on your delay lines. And lastly, a modulated delay. Very straightforward, very much just delay with a very gentle chorusing modulation applied to it. And this is another great example of you have the ability to run this in ping pong, in true stereo, or in wet dry output. There's a lot thought through on these. The input on this can be ramping, it can be tap tempo. And once again, there's a secondary control for being able to select subdivisions for your external tap tempo in this. There's a lot of delay time in this thing too. Digital delay. And for this one, let's go ahead and press and hold our LED, move time up to this middle position, which will allow us to go from a tap tempo of a dotted eighth, or of a quarter, to a dotted eighth. Analog. Got a maximum delay time for our reverse. Give it a lot of like vibe. That's cool. Swell. That's a cool ducking effect. All right, so this is going to be a granular delay. And with granular, I always take it as long as it'll go first. And finally, if you ever saw my A-Labs pedal demos, the standout pedal in that line was definitely the stereo reverb that they had, something that really felt like it rivaled some of the heavy hitters in the multi-mode reverb world. And Limbo from Klowra kind of carries that mantle really effectively. 9 different engines in here, but I will say that the different engines on here are more of a Venn diagram than some other reverbs out there. You have hall and church, which don't sound too dissimilar from one another. You have a room that can be made pretty big or pretty small. You've got a nice splashy spring, a plate that I think is actually quite good in here. You have a swell reverb that is actually very, very fun at full wet, tracks really well. Hazy is what I would say is Klowra's take on Cloud by Strymon, and it does a pretty admirable job at it if it doesn't have the diffusion thing that I like about Cloud. There's a Shimmer. We will listen to it, but we all know how I feel about Shimmer. We'll breeze on past it. And finally, there is Tide, which basically blends the sound of ocean into your reverb. It's a little bit white noise generatory. It's a little bit kind of like waves crashing at 5 a.m. at 300 yards away. It's pretty beautiful. It's pretty rad. It is reminiscent of the old Air program from the Walrus Audio R1, a underrated reverb engine if ever there was one. So let's go ahead and give Limbo a listen. a good time in this process to point out that you have a control for pre-delay as a secondary underneath your decay. So